Shalom, Most High in Christ bless to everybody tuning in. Let me go ahead and mute this right now. Most High in Christ bless. To the new folks, this is the truth. This is the truth. All right. You got to remember something. We can look at all the world's religions and everything else, and you can break them. This is the only truth that is unbreakable. You cannot break this truth. All right. And just keep that in mind. Now, when you are starting to explain the truth and everything to folks and to your family members and everybody else, a lot of times you're not able to explain it like you want to. That can cause a couple things to happen. Number one, you can make a person just totally turned off because you don't know what you're talking about. Two, you make the truth look bad because you haven't learned fully enough. So what we encourage folks to do is learn for yourself first. Start practicing, start learning, returning back to the Most High. And once you grasp understandings of particular things and you're solidified in it, speak that which you know. All right. So, but part of the confusion that has taken place within Israel, within the doctrine, since we are returning back to who we are, is that you see all the camps, waking up and brothers starting to form congregations all over the world. And you see that one organization is keeping Passover this day, another organization is keeping it that day, and the different feast days are all looks all unbalanced and everything else. I'll show you what you have to keep in mind in what's the ultimate goal, all right, which is rehearsing the righteous acts. So you don't see us going and bashing anyone for trying to follow the Most High to the best of their knowledge, all right? It's the fact that the Most High has given certain individuals in certain schools higher understanding on how to serve him, all right? And that's the best way to put it. We're going to see it today, all right? Lord's will, send up prayers, ask the Most High for vision. Let's go. Let's open up. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let's open up. Thank you. Okay, let's open up with the book of Genesis, chapter 8 and verse 22. Genesis chapter 8 and verse 22. Let's open up square across the board with that.
The book of Genesis, chapter 8 and verse 22. While the earth remaineth.
While the earth remaineth. Look down. You're still on the earth. Okay. While the earth remaineth. Read.
Seed time.
Seed time. Read.
And harvest.
And harvest. Come on.
And cold and heat.
Come on.
And the summer and winter.
Come on.
And the day and night shall not cease.
So this is the Most High putting forth a decree. While the earth remaineth. Seed time and harvest. And cold and heat. And summer and winter. And day and night shall not cease. This is an ordinance that the Most High has set up. While the earth remaineth, we're still on the earth. What he's showing you is that we're going to have seasons. All right? These are perfectly set up by the Most High. We're going to prove it. Let's hold your thoughts. Let's go to Psalms chapter 74. Psalms chapter 74 and verse 16. All right, yeah.
The book of Psalms, chapter 74 and verse 16.
Come on.
The day is thine. The night is also thine.
The day is thine. The night also is thine. Because the Most High set it up. Come on.
Thou hast prepared the light and the sun.
Thou hast prepared the light and the sun. Wait, whoa, whoa, whoa. Thou hast prepared the light and the sun. This should give y'all a little inkling or a wink back in Genesis chapter 1 when that light was created. All right. Talking about the laws. All right. Keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. He said, thou hast prepared the light and the sun. So the Most High set these ordinances up perfectly. There's no way you can look up and see how this thing is running and believe that it just happened by sheer happenstance. It's impossible. That's the mind state of ISOC. We know that they're born wicked from the womb. Read on.
Verse 17. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth.
Come on.
Thou hast made summer and winter.
Thou hast set all the borders of the earth. Thou hast set all the borders of the earth. So when you're looking at it, what he's showing you is that these particular elements that has been created has limits. Has limits. Thou hast made summer and winter. You understand that there's a border there. What does that mean? If I had to ask somebody, you would have to really ponder, but it would be right there in your face. When it's summer here, it's winter somewhere else. There's a border to summer and winter. When it's summer here, it's winter somewhere else. Okay, keep that in mind. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. Everybody should have an apocrypha. If you don't, just Google it on your phone, but you should have one when you study it because it's very valuable. Like what I have right now, with a lot of brothers you see, we have this King James 1611 Bible, and it has all the books in it. Okay. Yeah. The devil has raised this price on so many times. Okay, because everyone's ordering this because it's easier to take out to camp. It's small, it's compact. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17.
The book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 17. For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made and the operation of the elements.
For he hath given me certain knowledge of the things that are, namely, to know how the world was made, to know how the world was made, and the operation of the elements, and the operation of the elements. If you was in the elements class, you would have some type of higher knowledge on that. Revisit it. All right. Read on.
The beginning, ending, and midst of the times.
The beginning, ending, and midst of the times. That's what we're in. All right. Come on.
The alteration of the turning of the sun.
The alteration of the turning of the sun. Come on.
And the change of seasons.
That's what we wanted. And the change of season. Come on.
The circuits of years.
The circuits of years. Come on.
And the position of stars.
And the positions of stars. Because what we're seeing right now is the Most High has set these things up as a calendar, as an automatic system to be able to gauge time. What type of time? Seasons. Okay. Keep all that in mind. To gauge seasons. Why is that so important? Leviticus chapter 23. And let's start at verse 1. Now I posted up an excerpt. We're going to read it from this book called The Short History of the Ancient Israelites. And what happened in this book is from 1813. And literally.
Right, literally.
What happened is that They did an in-depth study based upon their resources, news facts. Okay, our people, we have to rely on these type of independent studies because you don't have a university. But had we had the resources and money, we can go and find out the same things they find out because they're going to the trench, they're going to the Fertile Crescent, they're looking up different inscriptions, they're able to put the facts together to understand how Israel operated. You understand? And believe this, the Most High is the one who put the Spirit on them to do it. All right? But as we start to dig deeper, you find out the Most High is in control of this thing. Man can never go up into the heavens and change the position of the stars. Right. He can't do that. He's trying. Oh, you know what? Let's create the Large Hadron Collider. Let's try to open up a portal. Let's try to open up a black hole. Damn. He's trying. Right. You got everybody calling it black hole. That's the thing. Right. All right. So we got to be mindful to focus in on the scriptures as it is written, or else you can get thrown off and lost. And unfortunately, a lot of Israelites get lost because they go, oh, this is the Gregorian calendar. Or, oh, look at this. This calendar right here it's a paganized calendar. We know that. We're not going by that calendar at all. We're going by the heavens, how the Most High set the heavens up, and by the scriptures. All right.
It's funny they say that, but they still look at a watch.
I mean, you still looking right. At you still looking at the watch, and you still calculating off this man's system. Right. Yeah. But we're calculating off the Most High. Okay, y'all. So Leviticus 23 and verse 4. Start verse 1.
The book of Leviticus.
Start at verse 1.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them concerning the feast of the Lord,
come on,
which ye shall proclaim to be holy convocation. Even these are my feasts.
Come on.
Verse 3, 6 days shall work be done, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of rest and holy convocation. Ye shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of the Lord in all your dwellings.
So people get confused on that. All right, they go, see, the Sabbath is pagan. You worshiping a pagan day. But when you literally start going back in history, you realize though they tag these dates and these names on the weeks or on the days, right, these names was still the same, right, and still carried over from Israel. It never changed. Right. All he did was call it right, what he wanted to call it. All he did was add a day. But you're going to find out that the Most High does the same thing. Right. This is where the madness comes in at. And when you're not settled down on scholarship, you lose out. Because somebody go, well, see, Esau added a day to the calendar. Did you know why he did that? Do you understand why he did that? Right. Because there's something going on behind the scenes. We're going to prove it. We're going to prove it. Read on.
Verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord.
Come on.
Even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their season.
Which you have to proclaim in their seasons. No man can change the seasons. Right. You have to proclaim this in their season. So our feast days are seasonal high holy days. Seasonal high holy days. Keep that in mind. Psalms 104 and verse 19. Just keep all that in mind, y'all. Because when you start, you gotta realize something. If you become one of these conspiracy theorists, what it does is it makes you focus on Esau more than the Most High, and and now your spirit's all jacked up. All right. Psalms 104 and verse 19.
The book of Psalms, chapter 104 and verse 19. He appointed the moon for seasons.
He appointed the moon for seasons. So how we calculate is based upon a lunar cycle. All right. He appointed the moon for seasons. For seasons. Okay. Come on.
The sun knoweth his going down.
The sun knoweth is going down because it's also border set to that as well. All right. But the point is, he appointed the moon for seasons.
Right.
Our feast days, go back to Leviticus 23 and verse 4.
No, I just saw something.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord.
Come on.
Even holy convocations, which you shall proclaim in their seasons.
Which you shall proclaim in their seasons. So somebody go, oh, see, Esau, he changed the seasons. Daniel chapter 2 and verse 21. Somebody tell you that?
Right.
Immediately go to Daniel chapter 2.
21.
Come on, yeah, 21.
The book of
20.
Sorry, 20. The book of Daniel, chapter 2 and verse 20. Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of God.
Come on.
Forever and ever. For wisdom and might are his.
Wisdom and might is his. Come on.
Verse 21. And he changes the times.
And he changes the times, read.
And the seasons.
And the seasons. Come on.
And he removeth kings.
Come on.
And setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise. And the knowledge to them that know understanding.
Knowledge to them that know understanding. That's the key. The Most High is the one that can change the seasons. He's the one got everything rotate in his time. That's why Esau goes, we got to add a day.
Right. Because
you can't look up into the heavens and go, you know what? The stars and everything is going to move at this speed. And it'll be in the northern hemisphere at this particular point, and that's it.
Right.
No, he knows we have to adjust our clocks. He knows you gotta leap forward.
Right.
Fall back. Because the Most High is the one. Esau does it to try to keep up with the Most High.
Right.
All right. Ecclesiastes chapter 33. And verse 7.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 33 and verse 7. Why doeth one day excel another, when as all the light of every day in the year is of the sun?
Come on.
By the knowledge of the Lord they were distinguished, and he altered seasons.
And who did it?
He altered seasons.
The Most High alters seasons. Come on.
And feasts.
Come on.
Some of them have he made high days.
Some days he made high days, like when we're reading in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter. Read.
And hallowed them.
And made them holy. Come on.
And some of them have he made ordinary days.
And some he made ordinary days, y'all. All right. So as you're starting to get the understanding, watch what happens. All right. You have to pay very close attention, because what's going on, because of sin, this is why we're in this type of predicament where one organization is doing this and another. We should all be on one accord and one mind. But because of sin, this has happened. There's nothing new. Hosea chapter 2 and verse 11. Hosea chapter 2 and verse 11. Now, if you are having difficulties keeping up, just write down the scriptures, all right, and then come back over it. We are trying to make sure that we are recording so that you guys can even go back over the video. All right. Hopefully we good.
The book of Hosea, chapter 2 and verse 11.
Come on.
I will also cause all her mirth to cease.
Come on.
Her feast days.
Her feast days. Mirth means gladness. So he said, I'm going to cause that to cease. Her feast days. Come on.
Her new moons.
The new moons. Come on.
And her Sabbaths.
Come on.
And all her solemn feasts.
And all the solemn feasts. You got to realize something. We had a joyous time underneath when we were back as a nation. We were as a nation. You can imagine how this nation party and have celebrations. But the Most High said he was going to cause that to cease. Why? Isaiah chapter 1, verse 13. Isaiah chapter 1, verse 13. Come on.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 1 and verse 13. Bring no more vain oblations.
Bring no more vain oblations, vain sacrifices to the Most High. This is Israel all day, just going through the motions. Come on.
Incense is an abomination unto me.
Incense is an abomination unto him. Come on.
The new moons and Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity.
Come on.
Even the solemn meetings.
Even the solemn meetings. All this stuff had become now for Israel, burning sacrifices, to, incense to Baal, going through the motions. People telling people telling Israel to come back to the Most High. The prophets speaking and everything. Israel don't want to hear it.
Right.
Okay, read on.
Your new moons.
Come on.
And your appointed feast, my soul hated.
My soul hated. The Most High hated it at that point. Because of what? Come on.
They are a trouble unto me.
Because they are trouble unto him. Come on.
I am weary to bear them.
I am weary to bear them. Come on.
And then ye spread forth your hands. I will hide my eyes from you.
Then and yet you spread forth your hands. The Most High say, you spread forth your hands and send up prayers. I'm gonna hide he's hiding his face from you. Come on.
I will hide my eyes from you.
Come on.
Yea, when ye make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood.
Your hands are full of blood. Now, when you look at, when you understand, when you say your hands are full of blood, you have hatred.
Right.
You have, your hands is full of hatred. Yeah. So at the end of the day, this is why it's important for us to look into it, to try to get these days right, like the Most High said to do. Now, remember, he said the moon was for seasons. Seasons. All right. We just gonna take a look at this. Now, real quickly, Psalms 81. Psalms 81. We read it. We try to go through this every new moon so that folks can see it and have a clear understanding. Start at verse 3.
The book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse 3.
Come on.
Blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
So whenever the new moon comes, we supposed to blow up the shofar. Okay, come on.
In the time appointed.
Now he just gave it to you. The time appointed. Come on.
On our solemn feast days.
On our solemn feast days. Come on.
For this was a statute for Israel and a law of the God of Jacob.
And a law of the God of Jacob. Read on.
This he ordained in Joseph.
This he ordained in Joseph. We put up the post to show you, even the scholars know, as you far back as look at inscriptions and everything, far back as Moses. That's as far as it goes. Before Moses, they're telling you, no, this new moon practice wasn't there. This was ordained in Joseph. Come on.
For a testimony.
For what?
For a testimony.
For a testimony. That's how you know. This is when our calendar is now going to be put together. Our nation seasons and feast days going to be put together. Right there for a testimony. Come on.
When he went out through the land of Egypt.
Come on.
When I heard a language that I understood not. Where? Excuse me.
Yeah. When he went out through the land of Egypt, he was in. It was his bones. It's when we got delivered. You understand? He said, "Take my bones." Joseph wasn't around.
Right.
They carried his bones out of there. So this, how you know, it was established when we became a nation. All right, the new moon. Keep that in mind. Very critical to understand. Numbers chapter 10, verse 10.
The book of Numbers, chapter 10 and verse 10. Also in the day of your gladness and in your solemn days And in the beginnings of your months,
the beginnings of your months, come on,
ye shall blow with the trumpets over your burnt offerings and over the sacrifices of your peace offerings, that they may be to you for a memorial before your God. I am the Lord your God.
So it lets you know now that this shofar blowing, this trumpet blowing, will be at the beginning of our months. The beginning of our months, okay? Keep that all in mind. So now, we read the moon was for seasons. Let's go to Exodus chapter 12. Exodus chapter 12, verse 1.
The book of Exodus, chapter 12 and verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you.
Stop right there. So this is now, we know now why he's saying this, because this was ordained in Joseph when he carried him out of there. All right. So now the Lord is giving more confirmation to us. Yo, this month right here is going to be the first month of the year to you. We talking about is the month of Abib. All right. How do we know that? Exodus. Stay in Exodus. We stay right there. Jump right over it. Just jump right over to chapter 13. Yep. Verse 4.
Verse 4.
Yep.
The
13 and 4, y'all.
The book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 4. This day came ye out in the month Abib.
So even named it. This day came ye out in the month Abib. The word Abib means ear of corn. Ear of corn. Ear of corn.
Right.
Ear of corn. Hold all that.
Right.
Joshua chapter 5. Joshua chapter 5. And start at verse 10.
The book of Joshua, chapter 5 and verse 10. And the children of Israel encamped in Gilgal and kept the Passover on the 14th day of the month at even.
Come on.
In the plains of Jericho.
In the plains of Jericho. Come on.
And they did eat of the old corn.
Would they eat?
Of the old corn.
Now, corn grows in its season, which Passover is always in the springtime. So this proves to you that Passover is in the springtime because corn was growing. Right. Come on.
Of the land of the morrow, after the Passover, unleavened cakes and parched corn.
And parched corn, come on.
In the self same day.
In the self same day, come on.
And the manna ceased on the morrow after they had eaten of the old corn of the land.
You know what's funny about that is because the Passover, when he said old corn of the land, it's showing you that it took time to bring in the Passover.
Right.
It took time to bring in to the 14th day. So they did eat of the old corn of the land. Come on.
Neither had the children of Israel manna anymore, but they did eat of the fruit of the land of Canaan that year.
So back to Exodus. Yeah, they had to wait. Back to Exodus.
You just gotta search the scriptures, man.
You gotta search the scriptures. Chapter 13. And start at verse 6.
The book of Exodus, chapter 13 and verse 6. 7 days thou shalt eat unleavened bread, and in the 7th day shall be a feast to the Lord. Unleavened bread shall be eaten 7 days, and there shall be no leavened bread be seen with thee, neither shall there be leaven seen with thee in all thy quarters.
So the leaven is also symbolic of you purging out sins.
Mm.
You can't still have leaven though.
Right.
You understand? According to 1 Corinthians 5 and 8, you gotta get rid of that old leaven too. All right, and those sins.
Right.
Read on. Somebody might be thinking, why are we reading about? We're talking about the moon and the season. Why are we reading about Passover? Okay, read on.
And thou shalt show thy son in that day, saying, this is done because of that which the Lord did unto me when I came forth out of Egypt.
Come on.
And it shall be for a sign unto thee upon thy hand, and for a memorial between thine eyes, that the Lord's law may be in thy mouth.
That the Lord's law may be in thy mouth. Read.
For with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt.
Come on.
Thou shalt therefore keep this ordinance in his seasons from year to year.
Thou shalt keep this ordinance in its season from year to year. Why is that so important? Because if you pull your month 15 days before Bill, you're still in winter. If you pull it, if you pull your month 15 days the other way, you'll be in the second month.
Right.
So you have to have an understanding. If you are going, all right, you know what? We're going to base our calendar off of a full moon.
Right.
Then what you're saying is the season don't matter. Because if you base it on a full moon, you will be out of season. You will be in a winter time when you start the month of Abib.
Right.
That's out of order.
Right.
You can't be saying that you're in spring,
It's still winter.
but you're in the winter.
Right.
Yeah, it's big time confusion. All right. That's where the problem will come in at, because if you think about it, what you're saying ultimately is that, you know what? The Most High is the one who controls the seasons, and the Most High made the season for Passover to be in the winter.
Right.
That you telling us now the Most High is out of order? And we just read all those scriptures. The Most High, he say he's the one who sets up everything.
That would also make a 2-week difference. Would make the Feast of Dedication not in winter.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be in winter.
yeah. All of the you're gonna see it. Everything that now all your feast days are out of characteristics.
Right.
Meaning, right, feast of dedication will no longer be in the winter. You're gonna have feast of dedication, it won't be winter.
Did he start off with the Passover for a reason?
The Passover is a for us is almost like a reset.
Yeah.
Because you can't gauge the Most High.
Right.
If you count the moons, y'all, if you go, we're gonna just keep our moons and keep counting it forever and ever, you're gonna fail. Because what happens is you can't gauge time. The Most High is speeding up, slowing down.
Right.
So one of those months where you're looking at the moon, you're gonna have 2 of them.
Right.
That fall within the inside. Then the next time 2 are falling inside, it pushes your calendar awkward. So you have to take accountability of that. Like 2 Passovers ago, we had to, because that was the Passover where everybody was off in Passover and going, everybody scratching their head going, why is everybody date different? Didn't realize when you counted it, it wasn't in its season. So when we do our calendar, we make sure the moon, the cycle of Passover falls in its season. That's our reset button.
That's because in 12, he told him this shall be the beginning of your month. Like he letting you know, like, hey, this the start.
This is how you start.
Which shows you even when he brought us out of Egypt, it was all according to his knowledge. Like,
yeah, you're not gonna be able to get around it.
You can't,
You know, so but the point is, y'all, you gotta really take a step back. You gotta realize it's the same thing with dedication. So go back to Leviticus 23, and we're gonna point this out. We're gonna point it out very clearly. All right, go back to Leviticus 23. And He's going to repeat. He's the Most High. He does everything perfect, right? So pay very close attention to this. Start at hang on. I just want to pull one point out of here. Start at verse 23. 23.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 23. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, saying, In the 7th month, in the first day of the month, shall ye have a Sabbath, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, and holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work therein. But ye shall offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
So this memorial blowing of the trumpets is the highest new moon that we have. What this supposed to do is bring in the harvest, because now the weather is going to start to decline. So you're supposed to blow that and now have some type of organizational skills within our nation to go, okay, y'all, so start reeling this in, start making sure you stack up, because here, the weather's going to start to decline. All right. You late, you lose crops. You will lose everything, and not only that, you will be out of order according to doing sacrifices. Okay, they would have been out of order in ancient times. This is why when you read in the ancient books, they're telling you it was critical that Israel had this understanding. All right, read on.
Verse 26. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying, Also the 10th day in this 7th month, there shall be a day of atonement. It shall be an holy convocation unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls, and offer an offering made by fire unto the Lord.
There it is again. So this is the months that we're coming up. This is coming up again, but it has to be done in its order, in proper order. Okay, because Day of Atonement is a fast that we do. You're supposed to do the fast all day, from sundown to sundown. Okay, but be mindful. Watch what's going to be said in these verses. Come on.
And ye shall do no work in that same day.
Come on.
For it is a day of atonement, to make an atonement for you before the Lord your God.
Come on.
For whatsoever soul it be that shall not be afflicted that same day, he shall be cut off from among his people.
Come on.
And whatsoever soul it be that doeth any work in that same day, that same soul will I destroy from among his people.
Come on.
Ye shall do no manner of work. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations, in all your dwellings.
Wherever you live. He ain't just, the moon rises in it's not full in Jerusalem, and the sun is in Jerusalem, and you start hearing him talking gibberish. All your dwellings.
That's captivity, brother.
Right. That's a hit on those cats that say you have to be in our homeland.
Right.
To keep the laws.
Read on.
Verse 32. It shall be unto you a Sabbath of rest, and ye shall afflict your souls in the 9th day of the month at even. From even unto even shall ye celebrate your Sabbath.
So this lets you know that these feast days are so important. The Most High consider them as Sabbaths, days of rest. And they start at night.
Right.
So, newsflash. A lot of times, even with the moon, you see the full moon in the daytime. You look up, you go, wow, the moon is full. But it's still daytime. The conundrum that you will be in is Sabbath start at even, from even to even. Are you in the Sabbath then? Because if you see the moon, we got to blow up the trumpet in the new moon.
Right.
So if the moon is visible even in the daytime, are you in the Sabbath?
Mm.
That's conundrum you're in. And that's the problem. So that's confusion though.
Right.
That's confusion. All right. And the Most High is not the author of confusion. Keep that in mind, y'all. All right. The point of this is to have holy convocations for Israel to come together, for everybody to have unity. What feast days work on, feast days will help unity all day. All right. All day. So some brothers base even the Sabbaths on predicated on the moon coming in.
Right.
They go, the moon came in, I'm gonna count 7 days, and I'm gonna have a Sabbath. Where you're gonna be failing at is the same thing, feast of dedication. So let's say feast of dedication, you have a full moon or a new moon, whatever you do, you go, okay, I'm gonna count that the moon came in, I'm gonna count 7 days, and I'm gonna get a Sabbath. Well, as you continue to count your 7 days, at some point you're gonna have to hit the reset button.
Right.
That means you can never do feast of dedication.
Right.
Because feast of dedication is on the 25th day of the month Caslu.
Right.
It's impossible. You'll get to the feast of dedication and have to reset. The feast is an 8-day feast.
Right.
So you mean to tell me you're going to reset the feast? Doesn't make sense. To those who have higher knowledge, you know what I'm talking about. To those who are still struggling, know this much, that the Most High is not the author of confusion, and that how we are calculating it based upon the moon, when the moon comes in, it's dark. It's not full. Matter of fact, I posted it up. Y'all can go back to the school page. You probably have it on your phone. Go back to the school page. We want to read that for them. For some folks, they don't have Facebook. Go to the school page. We're gonna read it.
The 7th month is busy. Feast of Trumpets.
You got a lot of things going on.
Day of Atonement and Tabernacles.
Did you pull it up? If not, I got it.
Yes. That right there.
Yep. Okay. Read that for them real quick. This is out of the book History of the Ancient Israelites, y'all.
The book of History of the Ancient Israelites, page 244. But as soon as it begins to separate from it, its crescent begins to show itself and increases insensibly till the last its whole disk becomes illuminous.
Right. Come on.
And then it is at full, after which the light diminishes and returns through the same figures to its first crescent.
To its what?
To its first crescent.
To its first crescent. Come on.
And then it re-enters the rays of the sun.
Come on.
And as the moon regulates the months, so does the sun the year.
So remember, the scripture says the moon is a sign of feast. When you read Ecclesiastes 43, it says the months is called by our name. Come on.
And the division which we make of the year into 12 months has no relation to the motion of the moon.
You see that? When you go on a 12-month system, it has no relation to the moon. That's why sometimes we made this comment 2 Passovers ago. We had to add an extra one to get into the season of Passover, y'all. Scholars know this. Come on.
But
read it again for them slow.
From the top?
Yep. From the end.
Oh. And the moon regulates the months. So does the sun the year. And the division which we make of the year into 12 months has no relation to the motion of the moon.
Has no relation to the motion of the moon. The Most High has his own calendar. He has his own time system. Come on.
But it was not so with the Hebrews.
Come on.
Their months are lunar.
Our months are lunar. That's why it makes no difference with us. Our months is lunar. We're not on a 12-month cycle like the world. We're on a lunar cycle. We're going to find out how that cycle is compromised now. Come on.
And their name sufficiently shows it. They called them Jarchin, which comes from Jared, which signifies the moon. It is disputed whether the antediluvian months were not rather regulated by the sun.
Come on.
That is, whether they were not all equal, so that each contained the 12th part of the year.
What's going on is they're saying, the scholars, y'all, are saying, they looking how everything was comprised. All right. And they're going, wait a minute. We noticed that even in other pieces of civilization, they understood, wait a minute, what the Israelites are doing is correct. By the circuits of the heavens, they're doing it correct. They have no relation to the sun. They don't care about breaking down into quarters like the time, because like the day is broken down.
Right.
But they're telling you our months don't work like that. Come on.
But learned men are agreed that from the time of Moses, the Jewish months have been lunar.
So wait a minute. It was ordained in Joseph. It was ordained in Joseph, meaning when his bones got carried out of there, who carried his bones out of there? Moses. All right, come on.
They do not reckon the beginning of them from the time that the moon joins the sun.
So that throws out your argument that the moon was first created and had light.
Right.
It doesn't even matter because we're talking about how our months and everything was created. All right. Come on.
Because that planet then disappears.
Come on.
But they begin it at her first phase. As soon as upon her separation from the sun, she first shows herself in the west after sunset.
Come on.
And for this reason, they call the beginning of the month the new moon.
After sunset.
So what they said it has to do what? After what?
After sunset.
After the sun sets. So you can't have you can't look up and go, there's a moon and it's daylight.
Right. You can't even see it.
You don't even supposed to see it.
That's why it's after sunset. Oh.
And the scholars know this. Read on.
And for this reason, they call the beginning of the month the new moon, though the Latin interpreter and accommodate himself to the Roman style calls it the calendars.
Like where? So we get the word what?
Calendar.
Calendar. Come on.
The moment in which the conjunction between the sun and that's it.
Go ahead. Read the
okay, the next.
Oh, here you go.
All right.
I didn't post this to that next page.
Between the sun and moon is made can only be known by the astronomical calculation because she does not then appear.
She does not then appear. That's it. I'll post the second page too, but it just told you she does not appear. You don't see it. Okay? Then at the sliver it begins. Now Ecclesiastes 43. Scholarship matches up with the scriptures.
Can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Ecclesiastes chapter 46. Yeah. excuse me, chapter 43.
Okay.
And verse 6.
Okay.
Yep.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43 and verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her seasons.
It's funny because me and the brother Marshall, we was talking about this. And it's funny because when you read this is so clear as day.
Right.
He made the moon also to serve in her season. Why? Because the moon was made to show forth the seasons, to show for us to calculate to be able to get up to Passover in its season in spring. Come on.
For a declaration of times and a sign of the world.
Come on.
From the moon is the sign of feast.
The moon is a sign of feast. Come on.
A light that decreaseth in her perfection.
Naturally so. The perfect moon is at its brightest point. It can't get any brighter.
Right.
It has to decrease.
Right.
It's at its perfection. It needs to decrease. Come on.
The moon is called after her name.
The what?
The month is called after her name.
The month is called after her name. So the month is called after her name. When the month is called after her name, what does it have to do, Reed?
Increasing.
Increasing. If it was already at its fullest, point, where is it going to increase to? No, it has to increase. The month comes in, it has to increase. Right. Read.
Wonderful in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
So it's an instrument of the armies above. What type of instrument is it? It's a clock. Right. All right. It's a calendar for us to be able to gauge the feast days, when is the seasons coming in, and everything. That's how the moon is set up. All right. It's not set up based upon, let me just look at it and it has light.
Right.
It's actually set up because it actually has its own system independently. All right. The sun, the moon, the stars, all that is independent. The Most High utilizes it for us to be able to understand times and seasons. Okay. Go back to Leviticus 23. Now you're going to see how this all really kind of ties in. Because
even the scholars know to call a moon her.
Yeah.
They even know to say her.
Yeah, for wisdom. For wisdom.
They watch us.
Watching everything. Leviticus 23. Back to verse 4. That's the point.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 23 and verse 4. These are the feasts of the Lord.
These are the feasts of the Lord.
Even holy convocations, which ye shall proclaim in their seasons.
You have to proclaim it in the seasons, y'all. You have to.
Right.
Anybody, go to Judges 5 and 11. I stand by this.
That's a commandment.
It's a commandment.
Right.
Anybody who's ignorant of it, you have done the most responsible thing in keeping a feast day, even though you might not, you understand, had known it. You're not looked down upon for doing that. Nobody is. But it's when the understanding comes out, that's when you held accountable.
Right.
All right. Judges 5 and 11.
The book of Judges, chapter 5 and verse 11. They that are delivered from the noise of the archers in the places of drawing water, there shall they rehearse the righteous acts of the Lord, even the righteous acts toward the inhabitants of his villages in Israel. Then shall the people of the Lord go down to the gates.
So the goal for us is to rehearse righteous acts. All right. The goal for us is to come together in a holy convocation. But how can you do that when one organization is keeping it this day because they believe in something? The other organization is keeping it that way because they believe in something. But when the scriptures is super clear and matches up with scholarship, you deny that. That now puts you in a different category than just saying I'm rehearsing the righteous acts. It now puts you in a different category to say, am I trying to cause division in Israel? All right. And that has torn some folks apart because you've had brothers that go, I see it. Yeah, I'm going to do it like this. And their wives go, I don't see that.
Right.
Or wives go, I see it. And brothers go, I don't see that.
Right.
So you have caught, what happens is you cause division in a man's gates, man. And that's sad. But watch this. Amos chapter 3. Amos chapter 3, y'all. And this goes back to even households. It really does. And you're gonna see how it ties in. You're gonna see how this ties in with unity. Amos chapter 3. I'm getting it. Verse 3.
The book of Amos, chapter 3 and verse 3. Can two walk together except they be agreed?
So what this ultimately is showing us is that you have to be on one accord in the Most High's word, scripturally wise. If you're not on one accord with the Most High's word, scripturally wise, it's going to cause, what this ultimately is showing you is it's going to cause a breach. It's going to cause division. It's going to cause problems because the understanding of the Most High's word, two people trying to apply it, but one person have a different understanding, it's going to drive a wedge. All right. 2 Corinthians chapter 6. Second Corinthians chapter 6 and verse 14.
The book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6 and verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers.
So you can't be unequally yoked together with unbelievers, because at one point, if you read it and you have the understanding and you see it from all levels and all angles, and you willingly go, nah, but I'm just going to do this, you're considered an unbeliever because you're following man.
Right.
You can't do that. You got to follow the words of the Most High. That's why I said, be not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. This is the same thing with marriages. It's the same thing that goes on with that. All right. But read on.
For what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness?
And what communion have light with darkness? The light is somebody going, you know what? I want to do the Most High's commandments as it is written.
Right.
So that I want to be the found, in the scriptures, doing what the scripture says, not outside of that.
Right.
That's why when you read in Romans 3, that's why he said, as it is written, that you may be justified.
Right.
You understand? But read on.
Verse 14. And what concord hath Christ with Baal? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel?
That's the point. An infidel is somebody who don't take care of his household.
Right.
Or what concourse have Christ with Belial? Or what part have he that believeth with an infidel? Somebody that's not thinking to take care of his household.
Right.
Somebody that's selfish. All right. Somebody that's in a mind state of going, you know what? I don't care about what you're thinking.
Right.
It's all about me.
Right.
I don't care about what the word says. It's all about me. It's about how I feel.
Right.
An infidel. Come on.
And what agreement have the temple of God with idols?
What's starting to happen is he's putting the similitudes together.
Right.
What agreement does the temple of the Most High with idols? Your body is the temple.
That's a good scripture when somebody went on the cross.
Yeah. Come on.
For ye are the temple of the living God.
There you go. Come on.
As God has said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
And they shall be my people. So the goal is for everyone in this to live holy and acceptable unto the Most High. Let's go to Ephesians 5 and 10. We read it all the time. All right. Because at the end of the day, we're held accountable for the things that we're doing. Come on.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 10, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord.
So we got to prove what is acceptable unto the Most High. That's what the first and foremost. So whatever we're doing, the only way we can prove that is as it is written.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only way we can prove it. You can't prove it outside of that. You can't go outside of as it is written. Soon as you do, you're done. You hit.
I'm going to the Hebrew and see which word that fits my situation.
Soon as you do, you hit.
Right.
Read it again for him.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 10, proving what is acceptable unto the Lord.
You have to prove what is acceptable. You have to do. We all going into the scriptures saying, okay, this is acceptable unto the Lord. What's acceptable unto the Lord for us is not understanding that, hey, wait a minute. God set this up for a reason. He set it up for seasons. If I change any one of this, if I go, you know what, I'm gonna base my Sabbaths off the moon. I'm gonna count 7 days. You just messed up feast days.
Right.
If you go, I'm gonna do we're gonna do the moon when it's light out. Full moon. You just alter seasons right there. You try to alter a season and you're gonna be pushed back out of season in all your feast days.
That's adding and taking away to the word.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, you're looking at it going, somebody gonna say, well, show me where the moon was dark. And then we'll say, well, we have 100% facts when spring and summer starts.
Right.
When winter and fall starts. We know. There's a calendar up. You can look that up. It's gonna start between the 21st and the 22nd. That's where spring gonna start.
Right.
Every single year.
Just like the Feast of Dedication starts right after winter.
Yep.
Right after winter comes.
It starts right after winter. You look at it and go, oh, this is like winter time.
Right.
Boom. Feast of Dedication comes right afterwards.
Because I remember, like, right before Feast of Dedication last year, it was still kind of warm. But after that season changed, man, like, it started getting cold. Like the next day.
Well, let's go to Matthew chapter 7.
You can never go wrong with the master. Reading it today. Man, Matthew 7 is dope.
Matthew chapter 7.
7 and 6.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Right.
Verse 13.
The book of Matthew, chapter 7 and verse 13. Enter ye in at the straight gate.
Enter ye at the straight gate. That word straight is spelled like that for a reason, because it means difficult. Enter ye at the straight gate. Come on.
For wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat.
Right. So what he's showing us, y'all, is that we got to enter in through the straight gate, the difficult gate. The difficult gate is going to be, you got to read these scriptures and you got to make sure you operating within this, not within man's ideology.
Right.
That's why it's imperative that you read. Blessed is he that readeth. All right. But he's telling you, broad is the way that leadeth to destruction. Come on.
Because straight is the gate, and narrow is the way.
Narrow is the way. Come on.
That leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.
Few that be that find it. It's very few, very few. Now there's such a thing as somebody may make an error,
right,
in the scriptures or whatever, But it's up to the people to correct that.
Right.
It's up to you to have men and brethren and congregation and everybody going, hey man, you gotta change this.
Right.
It's too many of us that's going, nah, look at this.
Right.
And we got scholarship and we got this and that. You have to, it takes some type of pride not to go, okay, let's reevaluate this.
Right.
So if you have pride goes before destruction.
Is it safe to say Christ was talking in third person right here?
Yeah, he is.
Okay, that's what
He got that out of the Apocrypha, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Second Ezra.
But
Yeah.
it's not God breathed.
Yeah.
Beware of false prophets.
21. Yeah.
Wow.
Read it. Read on.
Verse 15. Beware of false prophets, which come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are raven
So
wolves.
if you're not willing to change and you're not willing to make sure that you're operating in the word of the Most High, then you will be considered a false prophet. But you will be in sheep's clothes. You're gonna look like you Israel,
Right.
but you're not. Come on.
Verse 16. Ye shall know them by their fruits.
Come on.
Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles?
Come on.
Even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but a corrupt tree bringeth forth evil fruit.
Be bringing forward what?
Evil fruit.
Evil fruit, man. Evil fruit. Dividing homes.
Mm.
All kind of stuff is gonna start happening because you're looking at something that's corrupt.
Right.
So when you start seeing it happen, you can't go, you know what? That's just on them. No.
Right.
Come on.
A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit.
There you go. Come on.
Neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
Come on.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Whoo, come on.
Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them.
That's what we wanted. Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them. So you have to make sure, for us, whatever you putting into your spirit, whatever you learning, whatever you doing, you better make sure that you putting forth the righteous fruits, man. You cannot put everything into your spirit, because what's happening is you'll be learning madness. So you gotta make sure that you operating and know that's what you're doing, because if not, you'll be regurgitating false statements and everything.
You constantly get cut.
Read on.
Verse 21. Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, we have not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works. And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity.
Then the Lord is going to say, that's the words you don't want to hear.
Yeah, right.
I never knew you. That means you was operating on some different playing field. You was on different doctrine.
Right.
You wasn't operating on the same spiritual plane. I never knew you.
Right. Because you want to go as it is written.
As it is written.
My name.
Right.
This is his name.
This is his name, the whole scriptures.
Right.
All right. Nehemiah chapter 13. And verse 15.
The book of Nehemiah, chapter 13 and verse 15. In those days saw I in Judah some treading wine presses on the Sabbath, and bringing in sheaves and laden asses, as also wine, grapes, and figs, and all manner of burdens, which they brought into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. And I testified against them in the day wherein they sold victuals.
Come on.
There dwelt men of Tyre also therein, which brought fish and all manner of ware, and sold on the Sabbath unto the children of Judah and in Jerusalem.
Come on.
Then I contended with the nobles of Judah and said unto them, What evil thing is this that ye do, and profane the Sabbath day? Did not your fathers thus, and did not our God bring all this evil upon us, and upon this city? Yet ye bring more wrath upon Israel by profaning the Sabbath.
See, once you have knowledge, you bring wrath upon Israel.
Right.
So you'll start seeing it little subtle by subtle, strange calamities start to happen. All right? Because once you have knowledge, you should know.
Right.
But this is letting you know something. Read on.
Verse 19, and it came to pass that when the gates of Jerusalem began to be dark.
When the gates of Jerusalem begin to be dark, come on.
Before the Sabbath.
Before what?
The Sabbath.
Before the Sabbath. That lets you know once again, when the Sabbaths come in, it's dark, y'all. Come on.
I commanded that the gates should be shut, and charged that day should not be opened till after the Sabbath. And some of my servants set I at the gate, that there should no burden be brought in on the Sabbath day. So the merchants and the sellers of all kind were lodged without Jerusalem once or twice.
See, so we all this stuff is written for our learning. So as we ourselves, we have a responsibility. Right. The Most High gave us a certain, amount of knowledge, and we have to operate in that knowledge. Right. We can't look at what other folks are doing. We don't have time.
Right.
We have to give the knowledge that the Most High gave us.
Right.
And we have to push that. You have people running around that would say, "Oh, they're false because they're teaching Esau is the so-called white man." But yet we have tons of proof, biblically and scholarly, of who they are. You understand? People will say, "Oh, you're not teaching the moon right," when we have tons of proof, biblically and scholarly. It now starts to ban the minds for you. These people are delusional.
Right.
And you can only do what you can do. For us, we're just going to continue to teach how we're teaching because we're adding scholarship to the scriptures.
Right.
All right. Isaiah 66 and verse 18.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 66 and verse 16. For I know their works and their thoughts. It shall come that I will gather all nations and tongues.
And tongues. Come on.
And they shall come and see my glory.
Come on.
And I will set a sign among them. And I will send those that escape of them unto the nations.
Come on.
To Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw the bow, to Tabal and Javan, to the isles afar off, that have not heard my fame, neither have seen my glory, and they shall declare my glory among the Gentiles.
Come on.
And they shall bring all your brethren for an offering unto the Lord out of all nations upon horses, and in chariots, and in litters, and upon mules, and upon swift beasts, to my holy mountain Jerusalem, saith the Lord. And the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of the Lord.
Stop. So, what you're going to realize what the Most High is doing, He going to set Israel on high, and all the other nations, the Gentiles, everybody going to know, oh, well, I thought the Lord was for us,
right. But
He was really for the children of Israel, and we better do everything that the Israelites is doing.
Right.
When you say you're going to see my glory, it ain't a good thing.
Right.
That is not a good thing, because remember we told Moses, I'm going to have my glory to pass over you.
Right.
I'm going to have to hide you in the cleft of the rocks.
Let you give up the ghost.
Yeah, let you die.
Right.
So it ain't a good thing what they're getting right there. Okay, read on.
Verse 21. And I will also take of them for priests and for Levites, said the Lord. For as the new heavens and new earth, which I will make, shall remain before me, said the Lord, so shall your seed and your name remain.
So that's telling you the tribes,
right.
is going to be in the kingdom.
Right.
It's telling you the tribes are going to be in the kingdom. You're going to have this, we don't know who the tribes are.
Right.
Y'all teaching the chart and all this other madness. In Israel, there's a lot of madness floating around because of people's pride and ignorance to read the scriptures. Is really bad. But that's why you have to, for us, we only can speak on our end.
Right.
We have to make sure that we operate in the right spirit, man. Keep reading these scriptures. All right? Come on.
And it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another,
Come on.
and from one Sabbath to another,
Come on.
shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord.
So the new moons is going to be very important in the kingdom. You think somebody going to be going, oh, well, let's have the new moon out of season in a kingdom?
Yeah.
No, you're not.
Right.
That's why he making mention of it. Nah, all of this is going to be restored. Remember, we read earlier in Isaiah that the Lord was like, I hate your new moons.
Right.
But now he's promising us that these feast days is going to be ever more present, even in the kingdom, to spawn unity.
Right.
All right, unity. Without unity,
Right.
what's the purpose of the feast day?
Right.
All right. Let's go back to the master real quick. We're almost done.
Not gonna hit the marriage.
Luke chapter 14.
Luke.
$25.
The book of Luke, chapter 14 and verse 25. And there went a great multitude with him, and he turned and said unto them.
So you're going to realize when Christ speaking to the multitude, a lot of things he's putting forth. He's giving some high understanding, but you got to believe that certain people in there needed these understandings. All right. When you're not on one accord, causes chaos.
Right.
This is the same thing for marriages, y'all.
I thought the Jews rejected him.
Yeah, right.
The multitude.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They try to have you to believe Jews rejected Christ, but the multitudes was there. Come on.
If any man come to me and hate not his father,
Come on.
and mother, and wife, and children, and brethren, and sisters, and his own life also, he cannot be my disciple.
Respect the persons is out the window with the Most High. The Lord said, nah, you got to operate like this. Come on.
And whosoever do not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple.
Read that again.
Verse 27. And whosoever doeth not bear his cross and come after me cannot be my disciple.
Cannot be my disciple. So if you have respect to persons, if you're, leaning on what your mama think, oh, mama said, it's time to get rid of that. Because at the end of the day, you're commanded to be a man. That's why when you read in Genesis 1, it says you're going to leave father and mother and cleave unto your wife. You understand? And if you don't do that, all you're doing is going to cut your marriage in half.
Right.
You understand? But you got to be, you have to be equally yoked. You have to be in the right mind state and the right understanding. Christianity cannot do it for you.
Right.
And as you start to see Christianity seep in, you start seeing all type of doctrines. Everything starts seeping in. Christianity cannot do it for us. All right. It's failed. It has a bunch of divorces.
Right.
All kind of things happening. But in Israel, the men supposed to step up and be men of the Lord, read the scriptures, and follow the Most High in spirit and truth. Make sure Christ is at the head of the table. And if you do that, it will pan out better. But if not, you're going to have chaos. I don't care what topic it is, what doctrine it is, you're going to have chaos. If it ain't, behind this doctrine right here.
Right.
All right. Ephesians 5. One more jab at the married folks. We got to make sure all the married folks is on one accord. All right. Verse 26.
The book of Ephesians, chapter 5 and verse 26. That he might sanctify and cleanse it with washing of water by the word.
Your marriage got to be cleansed with the washing of the water by the word. The word has to cleanse it, not mama. I'm gonna go run and tell my mama. How you gonna be a grown man? And every time you get into something, you go run and go, I'm gonna go tell my mama.
They got the Bobby Boucher syndrome.
Yeah.
Mama say.
But the point is, y'all, we have these situations, and you have to realize what the cure is. The cure is the scriptures. If we come together on one accord, and you doing things according to the scriptures, you will have that, that bond right there.
Right.
And it will be unbreakable. All right, because it's according to the Most High. Many scriptures on this, but the point is, you have to make sure that your marriage is cleansed by the word, and if it's not, it will crumble. All right, yeah, you're doomed. All right,
you ain't build it upon that rock.
Not solid at all. Romans, I quoted it, but I have to get it. Romans chapter 15. Verse 4. Start at verse 4 for me.
The book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope.
So everything written aforetime is written for our learning. The scriptures can give us comfort, it can give us hope, but you have to go as it is written. If you're outside of that, it will never comfort anything. It has to be as it is written, precept upon precept. Jump right backwards and read chapter 14 and verse 5.
The book of Romans, chapter 14 and verse 5. One man esteemeth one day above another.
One man esteemeth one day above another. Come on.
Another esteemeth every day alike.
Another esteemeth every day alike. Because you hear Christians, people in Christianity do that all day. Every day is a Sabbath.
Right.
Be quiet.
Right.
Come on.
Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind.
Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind, y'all. This scripture right here is very important, because you're not to go at folks and just constantly, hey, you know what? You doing this. We're doing that. Nah, put out the doctrine,
Right.
Put the scriptures out, and let it be. That will say, let every man be persuaded in his own mind. All right? That's how you have to operate. The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29.
The book of Acts, chapter 5 and verse 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said,
Come on.
we ought to obey God rather than man,
So we're gonna follow the Most High. We gotta follow the Most High rather than man any day, y'all. Just it's a lot on Israel. You gotta bear with them. Make sure we putting out the right doctrine and communicating to our people. People are waking up all over the place, but it's up to us to make sure that we are, shining that light. All right. We give all praises to the Most High in Christ for allowing us to understand the scriptures a little bit. Lord's will, tune in tomorrow night, live from Savannah, I believe. But make sure y'all send up prayers, because a lot of folks is getting hit. All right. All praises to the Most High. Shalom, y'all. Shalom.
Shalom.